Show.
Police are under increasing pressure to investigate Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's role as the UK's trade envoy.
Yes, this comes as the nation's chief prosecutor said that the former Duke of York was not above the law.
Royal and Showbiz reporter Kinsey Schofield. Let's talk to her about this. Kinsey, he did make an argument during that Newsnight interview that mixing with Epstein helped him make contacts and therefore helped him in his ambassadorial role. What do you think? What are you making of what you're hearing?
Well, that comment might come back to bite him. For years, the fallout surrounding Andrew was largely reputational. Now it could be turning legal. Investigators are reviewing whether his communications and meetings connected to Jeffrey Epstein crossed a line from embarrassing and inappropriate association into potential criminal misconduct tied to his government envoy role. Misconduct in public office is a serious allegation under UK law, as you well know, and authorities are now determining whether the evidence justifies opening a full case. If that happens, the story shifts from royal controversy to something far more consequential, a potential criminal inquiry involving a senior member of the royal family.
The whole thing about this whole Epstein business, and there's so many aspects and horribleness associated with it. But one of the things is, Ellie, and I don't know what you think, it's just an old boys club. People knowing people and getting themselves contracts and getting themselves, things that benefit them, however awful that may be.
I mean, I think the question here is if, and this is what he's accused of at least, the former prince was cashing in on these connections, Kinsey, and there's also claims of corruption. Of course, he denies all of that. But what would that mean for the royal family if a criminal investigation were to be opened?
Well, I'm confident in the fact that King Charles has said he will do everything he can to help in a police investigation involving his brother and Jeffrey Epstein. I think that was a great first step to take, to say, I will give you any sort of documents, any access to anything we have that could help you in your investigation. I will talk to you as much as you need to hear from me. Although I do think that the public would feel more confident if they heard from King Charles himself. There was some mixed information over the last few days, with one outlet reporting that the king contributed to the sum Virginia Giuffre received from Andrew, and then the king actually spoke out to the Telegraph saying, absolutely not. I did not contribute financially to that settlement. So I think that it would calm a lot of people down if he spoke and said, look, I'm as disgusted as you are. I was uninvolved. I had no idea what was going on, and I will do everything in my power to make this right. And again, my heart's with the victims.
But he's not going to say that, and he's not going to go to America to testify either, is he? I mean, you can't see that happening, can you?
Oh, what a double-edged sword. If the king suggests Andrew do that, can you imagine the embarrassment and the headlines that would exist for weeks, if not months, in reaction to Andrew's testimony? If the king doesn't do that, then people will accuse him of a cover-up. But at the end of the day, Eamon, is Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor a credible witness? I would stress absolutely not. We've mentioned the BBC interview already. Man says he can't sweat, says the picture is a picture of a picture of a picture. And within these Epstein files, Ghislaine Maxwell says that picture is legit. I was there.
Kinsey, what do we know about where this leaves Princess Eugenie and Princess Beatrice? This has been a very difficult time for them. Their mum and their dad are both named in the Epstein files. What do you think this means for their relationship with their parents and also their relationship with the wider royal family?
Well, Ellie, realistically, Beatrice and Eugenie are also listed in the Epstein files, because it's revealed that these young women between the ages of 18 and 20 actually get on a plane with their mother to go visit Jeffrey Epstein days after he's released after being convicted of being a sexual offender. So it doesn't reflect well on the princesses. I think a lot of people are upset at their association with Jeffrey Epstein and are questioning what their motives were. And common sense says you would avoid someone like this. So I think they've taken a huge hit reputationally as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Epstein there as you're talking. How calculated was all of this? There were photographers or there were cameras secreted everywhere to capture, whether it be the former Prince Andrew or Peter Mandelson, or, you know, no matter who it was, the camera was there to record them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we got a sense of how vengeful, manipulative, and angry Epstein can get when you read that letter, that draft he sent to himself, where he's writing to Bill Gates. He never sends this email to Bill Gates, but it's vicious. He accuses him of STDs and hooking up with Russian women and, you know, being dishonest with his wife. You know, that tells me everything I need to know about, you know, now Bill Gates says none of that is true, but it's Epstein showing us how angry and how bitter he can be when people turn their backs on him. And he was collecting all of this material in case of emergency.
Okay, Kinsey, as always, really good to see you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Kinsey. Cheers.
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 75% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 75% off ExpressVPN, plus 4 months extra for free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
Police are under increasing pressure to investigate Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's role as Britain's trade envoy.
Well, this comes as the nation's chief prosecutor said that the former Duke of York was not above the law.
Well, former royal correspondent for the Daily Express, Richard Palmer, and deputy political editor of The Spectator, James Heal, they both join us now. Gentlemen, good morning to you.
Morning.
Morning to you both. Richard Palmer, let's start with you. So what exactly is Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor being accused of now in regards to his role as a UK trade envoy?
Well, I think there's just more evidence that's been building up over the last few years, and certainly in the last 2 or 3 weeks, of abusing his role to enrich himself and his friends, and also mixing business with pleasure. I mean, I think this whole Epstein scandal really is it's a dream come true for the type of conspiracy theorist who believes that the World Economic Forum in Davos is a plot to enrich the wealthy at the cost to the rest of us. And so the royal family's got caught up in this. The Norwegian royal family, one of the Belgian princes. Lots of royal families around the world, but also lots of politicians as well. And Andrew is perhaps, along with Lord Mandelson, the most prominent person to face serious allegations so far.
Yeah. James, it is fascinating listening to Richard talking about there. It's just an old boys club, and they sort of oil each other's palms with what goes on. Andrew's on record as saying that knowing Epstein helped him in his work as a trade envoy because people could meet other people, these introductions could happen and business could be done.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I mean, there is fair to say that connections are really important in the world of business, but it's about the exposure that you incur in the course of those activities. And the allegations involving Andrew and Epstein, of course, suggested went well beyond what you expect of a normal trade envoy, subject to the rules and duties and stipulations of the UK government. So I think that it's no surprise that we're seeing more and more pressure on me sort of give a clear account of what went on as a UK trade envoy, and I suspect we'll see more pressure coming from the United States, given, of course, that call at the end of last year for Andrew to give evidence before Congress.
Well, Richard, I want to ask you, the front page of the Mail today, if we look at that, they simply ask the question, what are the police waiting for? That's what the headline that screams out from them.
Yeah, and I think there's an issue for the police as well. I mean, we've seen in previous inquiries into royal controversies and scandals that ultimately the police have decided it wasn't in the public interest to proceed, or there was insufficient evidence. But there's never been a full explanation into previous investigations into Andrew, for example, but also cash for honours scandal involving the King's Charitable Foundation. So I think there is a question of credibility for the police here as well. And my sense is that the press and public are not going. This isn't going to go away. They're not going to be happy until Andrew is questioned about this, and all of these allegations are tested either in a court of law and also in Parliament. And I think that's the other thing, that there's a head of steam building up for a parliamentary inquiry into Andrew's role as a trade envoy. I'm not clear how that could happen if there was also a criminal investigation going on, because presumably the police would argue that some evidence needed to be withheld to avoid prejudicing any trial. But there is a growing demand from Dame Priti Patel, for example, Davey, the Liberal Democrat leader, for a parliamentary inquiry into Andrew's role.
And Richard, if we were to see a criminal inquiry into Andrew Mountbatten-Windsor's role as the UK's trade envoy, what would this mean potentially for the royal family? We've heard from the King, haven't we? You said he wants to support the police as they consider this investigation, but surely that would be hugely damaging to them.
Well, I think so, but I think one of the problems when you go back over the last 15 years of how the royal household has handled this is that it has been a damage limitation exercise about preserving the reputation of Queen Elizabeth and of the institution, and of course of Andrew's reputation initially, but. I sense that the public just want the truth to come out now, and there does seem to have been a mood change inside the royal household. Whereas before there was the line was the King thinks it would be a waste of parliamentary time to introduce legislation to remove Andrew from the line of succession as a Councillor of State, or formally to remove his title. I think there's now a willingness to consider that, given that they're likely to be doing it for Lord Mandelson anyway.
Well, James,
so I think.
Sorry, just want to bring James in here. James, what is the future for Andrew? I mean, it's okay as old saying when he hasn't got a future, but he can't go and hide on this farm for the rest of his life, can he?
Well, I mean, if he has a future, it's a very bleak and dark one. I mean, I think that there is very little appetite for any sort of public appearances by him at all. Yeah. And I certainly think that, touching on Richard's point there certainly is, from talking to MPs I have in Parliament, a sort of an appetite in certain quarters to try and give strength to those feelings in the country, which is that Andrew has been duplicitous, has misled the public, and has not been forthcoming about what went on as envoy. So I think that he is not going to have a particularly enjoyable one, and I suspect it will be mostly talking to PR consultants and lawyers for the short to medium term.
And James, we did see at the weekend Peter Mandelson being asked to testify in front of US Congress. Do you think he'll do that? And if so, what do you think this could mean for Sir Keir Starmer?
Yeah, so he's got until the end of the month to respond to a request by the House Oversight Committee. That's a powerful congressional committee in Washington. I would be sceptical if he's in any rush to sort of respond to that or give evidence. My understanding is that he will not be compelled to do so at this stage, so I therefore think it's unlikely. But it's worth noting that the letter in which they said that Mandelson would have had extensive knowledge of Epstein's operations, and I think that that does indicate he is someone who isn't just someone caught up in this, he is someone who US lawmakers are seeing as pretty central to all of this.
James, Richard, thank you both very much indeed. I wish we had more time,
Yes.
but thank you very much indeed for contributing to the whole argument.